obviously things like The Castle were a big influence on me. And
Oh, great movie.
yeah, so I'm not
yeah.
like, I know it's been done, but I'm just put my own little twist on it. But like, that's what I thought was funny about a movie like that, was like mentioning, you know, like Ressies and Trading Post. And to me, there's a lot that's funny about like mundane Australian suburbia, you know?
We're delighted to announce our newest partner for Legends with Bevo. A big welcome to Ancora National. Ancora National are an incredible organisation with passionate staff that are all about giving people living with a disability a better life by helping them to find employment. They believe that everyone is deserving of living a fulfilling life with no one left behind, and they provide a range of support services to people living with a disability. To find out more, go to their website, ancoranational.com.au. Well, what a pleasure it is to have the one and only Aaron Gocs on Comedy Legends with Bevo again. Mate, it's been a little while since we chatted. How you been going?
Thanks for having me back. I mustn't have done too badly last time. It's always funny in life, hey, where like there's things that like you never hear back from sometimes. And then, you know, I'm like going for jobs or renting or whatever. And then there's ones you hear back from, but they say you didn't get the thing.
I know all about that, mate, for sure. Applied for my fair share of jobs over the years, so I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, this is a nice third category of hearing back and also welcomed on again. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I'll always welcome good people like yourself, and it's always good fun. So, hey, did I see recently, I nearly fell off my chair, Gocsy, you were involved in a boxing match, is that correct?
That's correct. I know this is the thing, right? Like, I have always loved sports in my life, but at the same time, I've never been very athletic. So I've got this weird kind of, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's other people in that, like most people who are in that category just watch or are a fan or a journo or something. But I'm that rare one who's like, I'm no good at it, but I put myself into things. So
no, you do, and I definitely admire you for that. And you're such a nice guy as well. The last person I thought would be in a boxing fight.
Well, it is, I appreciate that. First of all, thanks for saying that. That's nice. But yeah. Well, like, and the other thing is, it's the first one of my life. Never done it before. I turn 40 tomorrow, so what a good time to start. Almost 40 and.
Yeah,
getting into boxing.
Happy birthday, mate, for that.
Well, what I was trying to say about all different sports and stuff is like I have done a lot of stuff, most of them team sort of sports, footy, soccer, basketball, etc. But individual sports are a little bit different, and obviously combat, I think that's the category all these come under, these fighting sports, combat. But you know, I was a little bit naughty in some of my rugby and footy games. Got into a few little fights, nothing too big, but no official fight. So that was the first official fight of my life. So
how did it come about, mate? Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so first of all, I'll tell you what the fight night was. It's called Podcast Royale. So it's all podcasters that fight each other.
Right.
The big event, it was on the Gold Coast. I think they had their first one last year, and this was the second one. And yeah, I got asked, which was great. So I just said, yeah, sure. Like, because it really suited me, because I don't know otherwise how I would ever find myself in a fight. Because it's that kind of thing where, well, I'm not going to take on people who are properly into boxing. So it worked out well because, you know, we're all podcasters, comedians, that sort of thing, where, yes, we're trying our best. It was like everyone was trying their best. But you have that get out clause of an asterisk of like, you know, I am a podcaster / comedian. So, but the funny thing, the backstory, also, there's another backstory. So not only that, quite a while ago, maybe a year or two ago, kind of half joking, but sort of open to doing it, I put this video out where I said like, all right, comedians, who will take me on in a boxing fight to find out like Australia's top comedian, right? Like I was half joking because obviously it's like, you know, when you whatever you want to call comedy, like arts, entertainment, whatever, when you find the best of something, obviously it's not via a fight, right? So that was my joking part, was like, it shouldn't be who wins a fight makes you the best comedian. But I was half joking and half sort of like, wouldn't that be kind of fun? Like two comedians to fight each other, you know?
Yeah.
And I think in the back of my mind, I knew about this event a little bit, but I didn't expect them to ask me to be in it because I have had a few podcasts kind of on and off. They're not kind of consistent. So I don't really think of myself as a podcaster, but I think there was I think everyone in the fight did have a podcast, but there was a couple of like comedians. There was an NRL ex-NRL player. So yeah, it was a bit of
Oh,
a mix.
who's that?
His name's Jeremy Lattimore. I've actually been a guest on his pod, but
Oh, he would have been a big
he's not.
unit.
I was going to say he's a bit of a Joe man, and if you think that's a bit harsh to say, his pod is actually called Rugby League Journeyman, so I think he knows it himself. But no, you know, one of those sort of guys who they're fringe career on the fringes of the team. Like I think he played a lot of games off the bench, but it's still you're playing at the highest level, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like you know, if someone said 100 games of AFL off the bench, it's still impressive, you know. But it's
absolutely, he'd be a big boy, wouldn't he? As well, they're pretty big boys.
Yeah. Well, I think he ended up winning his fight, but I think they try to match them up quite evenly. I don't know the exact processes, but
and who'd you fight against, mate? Who'd you fight against?
Matched me up with a very big boy. He was I think he had 45 kilos on me.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Well, this is what's I don't know much about boxing, but I know the weight ranges and that. But I think once you get to heavyweight, it's just floodgates are open, right? But I was a bit worried. He's a big boy, but it was like I think it ended up working a bit in my favor, being a bit smaller. Yeah, because you don't know how it's going to go. Like, and you know, everyone's got their own theory in life, like glass half full versus half empty, you know, that sort of thing. But personally, sometimes I think it's best to think worst case scenario, right? Like to be prepared. And I was saying, because it was down the Gold Coast, which is about an hour away from where I live in Brisbane. But I was saying to my dad, like, oh, I'm going to drive myself there, but can you come and just be ready if I need to drive home? In my mind, like I said, worst case scenario, you know how you see people after a fight, how their eyes are all closed. I'm thinking I'm going to be like whacked pretty hard, you know, with my eyes closed. But it didn't end up being that way, thankfully. So yeah.
Did you?
It was an emotional roller coaster going in because, like, I had friends, and don't get me wrong, like, it's that thing where you know it's nice to have mates that care about you, like when people like, don't drive home, mate, give us your keys, something like that.
Yeah.
I had mates who were like worried. They're like, oh, you don't need to do this if you don't, you know, like trying to get me to think well. And that's one of those things where it's half nice, but also, you know, it's like, oh, it's nice they care about me, but also like, come on, man, I'm not that awful of an athlete, you know. Like, you know, give me a chance. Yeah, but like you said, some people do, which is nice. People see the nice gentle side of it, but I was like, I can become an animal.
Well, because you shredded a fair bit for it as well, didn't you?
Not really. Like I would have liked to, but I know this sounds like a cop out, but you know, juggling a lot of things in life. Like I didn't train as much as I would have liked to.
I thought you looked like you were a bit trimmer though for it.
Oh, thanks, mate. It might have been a case of well, I did a little bit of training, but it might just be a case of like kind of that might have sort of trimmed off a bit of the puppy fat. Can you still say puppy fat at age 40?
I think you can. Yeah.
I don't think it's puppy fat, but it's actual. Yeah, but yeah, it was. I wasn't able to train as much as I would have liked to have, but it ended up working out in the end. But
did you enjoy it though? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. Like I said, it was an emotional roller coaster. Like, but then there was a bit of a because going into it, I was like 100% adamant. It's like one and done. This will be it.
Yeah.
Just one. Like, and then afterwards, it was like that was a buzz. You know, like I'd like to try that again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good on you.
But,
yeah.
There was so many emotions. Like, even the other side, the opponent was like, there's a lot of mind games and stuff. They were talking it up, which is what you're supposed to do, I think. But I didn't get involved in that just because I wasn't sure how I'd go. But
Yeah.
because they're from their side, and it wasn't. To be fair, it wasn't all just him. Like it was his supporters were like stirring me up, saying you're gonna die and stuff. So,
Jeez, it's a bit brutal.
and I was in such an awkward position because like a little bit in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe I will. Like, but you can't be like that, you know. You can't be like, yeah, he's gonna kill me. So you just gotta be like, oh, let's see on the day, you know.
Did you know the guy very well that you fought?
No, I didn't know him at all. So
No.
it was funny when it was first announced. Like he messaged me, we had a bit of a chat over text, and then he was like, "Oh, we better leave it there because we got to hate each other." But yeah, it was a funny experience just because you know in the back of your mind you got that get out of like I'm not an actual boxer, but yeah, I didn't want to disrespect the sport and make it a complete circus. So, but there were elements of it where it was like this is pure and it's like I'm not bagging the event or anything, but the ref was like getting the other guy up off the ground, and it was like that's definitely not part of boxing, you know. And like I don't know in terms of I don't know if you know much about fighting, but like sanctioned, I don't think it was sanctioned by the official boxing people. But no, but having said that, at the same time, like it was an amazing experience, and there was elements of legit boxing. Like we had our wrist. You know about much about it or
A little bit
boxing?
about it. A little bit about it, mate.
We
Yeah.
had our wrist strap. You know about
Yeah.
wrap and that. So that's
Yeah.
element made it feel like legit boxing and
Yeah.
and had all the elements like the girls with the round cards holding up and even had the announcer doing the cheesy American accent.
Oh, really?
He's like, in the blue corner. Like, it was funny because he contacted me a week before, and he's like, "Oh, he's just pulled all this stuff off the net about me," and it's like, "Oh, do you mind if I go with this?" And I'm like, all right. I didn't really I couldn't be bothered to like correct him. It was pulled some stuff up that was just like pretty random. Anyway, but no, it was a good experience, mate. It was like, I think like anything in life where that little bit of doubt is what makes things, like if you're skydiving or whatever, like it's that, like you want it to be safe, but you also want that little bit of doubt that something can happen or, where it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the acting career, I reckon last time we spoke to you, you were involved in Emu War, is that correct?
Yeah.
How did that end up going?
Yeah, it was good. Like it had a couple of it was released at first at like a movie festival, and then there was a bit of a gap between the next kind of release again in a few more cinemas, which was fun. It was almost like having a second wind, and then it came again onto like the streaming services and that, which is great, and so you just with the streaming service, it's more like gradually people will say to you, maybe one person a week will be like, oh yeah, I saw that, enjoyed it, and so it's like a slow burn, but it's great to know it's out there, if people want to, if they get bored.
So is there more acting opportunities in the future, you think, or?
Oh yeah, I'd love to. Like it's one of my favorite things to do. There was actually another movie just got released where I had a tiny bit. I only had like 2 scenes. It's called Double or Nothing. So it's got like John Jarrett and Vince Colosimo, and yeah, I was more of a like sort of background sort of character. But that was fun, But it's hard. It's a tough industry because like you just keep auditioning and trying, and like I do a lot of auditions, and yeah, just like I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because I'm stoked with what I've been able to do so far, but you do get that taste for it and you want more, and then you don't know when it's coming next,
Yeah, it's hard. Exactly. That's a very competitive industry for sure. And
yeah, like the first movie I was in, The Merger, was like not long after I'd moved down to Melbourne. So there was a little bit of like I don't know, I wouldn't say I didn't appreciate because I did, but it was, when things happen a little bit quicker than would normally happen for people.
Yeah.
And I had this feeling like, oh, this is how it works. You move to Melbourne, you're in a movie, and then the next one was about 7 years later. So.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said before, it's very competitive, isn't it? So, what about
Yeah.
the comedy side of things? I've seen you've been doing some gigs with some pretty big name comedians, mate. How's that been going?
Yeah, that's stand up is another love of mine. So I have all these like things bubbling. Obviously like stand up comedy, acting are the main two things, and then I put myself in things like boxing and that to get a bit of attention. But I don't like the word like I was gonna say gimmick. It's not really a gimmick because like like I said, trying to get attention, but they are things I genuinely want to do and try, so that's why I put myself into them. But the stand-up stuff, yeah, it's fun. Like what I always say about like acting on film compared to something like stand-up is stand-up is more immediate. Like oh yeah, I was gonna say you hear the laughter straight away. That's if it all goes to plan. But yeah, things are going well. You tell the joke, the laughter comes back to you, which is a great kind of instant feeling. And then acting is like you film it, it can, like I said, it can come out a long time after they edit and everything. So that's a delayed process. And they're just different. I don't even know, like, I don't know if one is better or worse than the other, but I guess there's something exciting about live stand up, having that laughter right in front of you. But then again, it's also, I like when those movies are on in the cinema and you can sit there, it's on a big screen and you're just enjoying it. So it is like very different experiences, but they're both great. So.
And
But
who's been the
yeah.
biggest comedian that you've performed with the last sort of 12 months or so, Gocsy?
Oh, I haven't like these days. It's a little bit quieter because I'm doing my own shows. When I was on the sort of the national circuit, you'd sort of every now and then you could have like a Tom Gleason or a Husey, you do a gig with him sort of thing. But yeah, sorry to have a boring answer for you, but like no. Oh, I'll tell you, this is going back a little while because I moved back to Brisbane from Melbourne. But when I was still in Melbourne last year, I opened up a gig for Jim Owen, so that was
Oh,
exciting.
well done.
Yeah,
That's amazing. What's
yeah,
he like? For the people out there that don't know much about him.
yeah. He's a lovely guy, and obviously like been at it a long time, like a big name, and I think I think Australia's his main market, but I'm sure does well overseas too. But like, yeah, for me, those because those like performers that I grew up with, they're the ones who are the biggest thrill for me because it feels like you've spent your life sort of watching them. Like
Yeah, for sure.
for me, watching Jim Owen in the '90s when I was a kid, and it was like the same thing. That's the biggest thrill. These guys when I first moved to Melbourne, got to do a tiny bit on one of Sean McAuliffe's shows. Like that was a thrill.
Awesome.
Had a couple, yeah, people like that. That you've just seen throughout your whole life, and because like, yeah, like I said before, we do gig with some sort of current, younger, sort of bigger names, like you sort of like your Tommy Little, Tom Ballard, that sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, they're great dudes, and I'm still stoked to gig with them. But it's just a different sort of thrill to the people you've spent your life watching, and yeah, it's a
I
bit
get
of
that
a
for sure. Getting to
it's a
meet
bit
Steve
surreal.
Izard recently, like
Yeah,
you remember him from like the Full Frontal days and Fast
yeah,
Forward,
yeah,
and like it's the same kind of thing. Like it's just absolutely amazing. Bit of a kid in a candy shop. So I totally
yeah,
understand where you're
yeah.
coming
Because
from.
I'm always like, anytime someone's pretty big or famous, there's a little bit of like surreal, like, oh, is that them? But then I was like, for example, like a few years ago, I was at the St Kilda Saints Best and Fairest night, and Eric Banner was there,
Oh wow.
and that was one of the most like sort of like pinch me moment. Like, is this real? And it's like, because for me, yeah, definitely like Full Frontal Channel 7 was like huge influence for like even just starting to watch sort of things that are a bit more mature. Like I was a kid, I think I was like 10 or 11, and watching Full Frontal, and it's like nothing over the top terrible, but I was like, like a lot of kids wouldn't be watching this, you know, the political sort. You know, there's like Ray Martin parodies and
Yeah.
national nightly news parodies, and yeah,
So good.
but
Yeah.
that's the first to sort of made me. It's trying not to sound like a gronk, but I like, you know, start noticing sort of more mature sort of comedy and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And when you do your shows, what material do you lead on?
A lot of like, so, you know, being a single dad, I'm a single dad with two girls, a lot of trying to navigate through life, that sort of, it's a lot of self-deprecating stuff, you know, like just sort of, it's a bit of a brand for me, but like sort of like fast food, you know, like talking about KFC and Red Rooster and stuff. But like this is the reason I like to talk about that stuff too, because it's like sort of suburbia, mundane suburbia, like a lot of people overlook it, but I find that there's humor in that sort of stuff, you know, like, and I know it's like, I'm not trying to say like I thought of it, you know, obviously things like The Castle were a big influence on me, and
Oh, great movie.
yeah, so I'm not
Yeah.
like, I know it's been done, but I'm just put my own little twist on it, but like that's what I thought was funny about a movie like that, was like mentioning, you know, like Rissoles and Trading Post, and to me there's a lot that's funny about like mundane Australian suburbia, you know, like
And you bring that back to your shows a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like obviously I want it to be funny, but then another part is just sort of shining a light on these overlooked things where I feel like there's so many people trying to be like worldly and like show how big their vocabulary is, and like we're even talking about food, you know, that's the thing. Everyone's always trying to be like, you know, like, oh, there's like this, I'm having this cuisine, which is like unique. And then sometimes it's funny, just like, oh, the classic food court Chinese, you know, like, you know, sweet and sour pork and fried rice. And yeah.
And I was talking to you the other day as well, and there's another big game of footy in a few weeks' time. You've been a part of a couple the last few years, and apparently you're saying you're going to be involved again this year. Tell us a bit more about that, the people that don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Like those guys are so busy; they're hard to get a hold of. But you know, it's like, yeah, they've had two of them. They're called the Marmalade guys. They've got they call it big. I should know the official name. I was going to say big Resi game or biggest ever Resi.
Div 12 Ressies.
Yeah. But I mean, the particular game they have. So the first one, so they've had two so far. Like the first one was at Lockleys, where the original team was. Then they did the second one at Elizabeth, and then this one's going to be at Norwood Oval. So it's like growing every. I think next year might be Adelaide Oval. But
heading in that direction, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like they're doing great, those guys. But like that's the thing. I was in the first two, so like part of me just like, oh yeah, I'll be in the third one. But then I didn't want to take it for granted, so I messaged them and I was like, hey, can I be in this? You know? And they were like, yeah, sure. And I was not to say like, oh, well, I hadn't heard anything, you know, but I was like, you don't want to assume something, you know. But unfortunately, I had to cancel a gig that I had on lined up. I don't like to cancel gigs, you know, but like for me, this is a big event. It's like,
yeah,
because the two I've had were unreal. They're amazing. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of sports and all levels. Like I love pro sports, I love local sports, and it's just unreal to get. I think. Like it's all guessing, but I think they had 4,000 or 5,000 people at these games, which is crazy for like local sport, you know.
All the locals love it. It's SA versus the All Stars this time round. So you'll be playing for the All Stars?
I think so. I like to think of myself as an honorary South Australian, but it might not get approval. Yeah, because whenever I'm in like Adelaide, I'm like, this is my culture. It suits me, you know, like 24-hour bakeries. And, yeah.
I did put my name down for it as well, but it's apparently pretty popular to play in that game. So, yeah, think yourself pretty lucky there, Gocsy.
Yeah, well, you know what? So the first year, I won the worst on ground medal.
I was watching that game.
And then someone else got it last year, Mark Cosgrove, the cricketer. So I'm determined to get that back, you know. I think because I kicked a goal last year, that probably ruled me out, you know.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And I don't know if you saw, but like I got made to wear board shorts.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
See, the thing is, which I was fine to do, I was fine with it, but I wish they would have explained that I was told to do it, because people were hassling me, going like in the comment section, going like, "Oh, what he thinks he's a big show, can wear his own shorts," and I'm like, I got put up to this, mate. If it was up to me, I'd get the pins out with the Warwick Kappa shorts, you know.
Hey, before we let you go, Gocsy, you mentioned before you're doing some gigs all around Australia at the moment, and you like to get involved in people's buck shows and things like that. So for people that are watching or listening today, how can people find you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, that's right, mate. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, so you can send me a message there, or aarongocs@gmail.com, send an email. But like, yeah, I love it. Like, had a funny one last Friday night, was because obviously got your mainstream sports. I've done a lot of footy, cricket, that sort of thing. But this was for ultimate frisbee. I don't know if you know much of that.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a niche sort of modern sport, but turns out it's pretty popular, and I guess you could say a bit like footy, but you use a frisbee. And it was just in a house. Like when they booked me in, I didn't know if there was going to be like a clubhouse, you know, like a sort of like a cricket club sort of thing. But it was just in a private house in Geelong. And yeah, I went down, hosted it, gave out a few awards, did my stand up. A lot of people ask because I advertise saying like I'm available for functions. Basically, I like to say whatever you want me to do, but the standard sort of show is do a bit of stand-up comedy, generally around 15 minutes, 20 minutes. That's all. I find any longer is a bit tedious, and just do the hits. And then anything you want me to like to be a host, I can introduce awards or basically that, and then hang out. Some people just like me to hang out, which is like, I don't mind that, but yeah. So
good on you, mate. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but when I was a few years ago, when I was actually doing some study, like to pay the bills and stuff, I ended up working as a life drawing model. Believe it or not.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. So you think that was good fun?
Had the whole kit off.
Yeah, working at hens nights and things like that. So that was good fun, mate. You're right. Those sort of gigs are just the best fun.
I'd be like, oh, it's a bit cool in here. Can we turn the temperature up?
Oh, good times. It's all about having a good laugh, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, mate.
Yeah.
I don't take myself too seriously, but that's why I said there's always people say to me, oh, you know, like with the boxing, like how do you find yourself in these things? And I honestly don't even know. Just keep an eye out for, you know, and put your hand up for things and
you just do it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron Gocs, thanks so much for joining us on Comedy Legends with Bevo again, mate. It's always a good laugh having a chat with you, and we'll hopefully catch up with you when you're in down Adelaide for the big game in a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks, legend. Appreciate it. Cheers.